So in this video, I wanted to go over how to use Stride with Git. In our case, we're going to be using GitHub to store our repository, and obviously Stride for actually creating our game. Um, so the first thing you want to do is go to git-scm.com to download the Windows version of Git. I currently want the Windows 64-bit. So I'm going to download that guy, and you would just press the exe. There's nothing special in the steps here. I already have Git installed, so for me it would just update. But go through this process. It should be very straightforward. Nothing here you need to check. The defaults should all be fine. And then actually, speaking of that, if git lfs is not installed, you should install that one. You may want it later in the future if you have a larger project, or if you decide to install this. I'm not going to do this because I don't want to wait for the install, but you press install. It should ask you if you want to open up the README file. If you find that exciting, feel free. I don't need that right now, so I'm going to exit the setup, and I currently have Git installed. So the next thing you're going to want to do is install Sourcetree. Yeah, depending on which one you want to use. I use Sourcetree because I find it gives a lot more information than GitHub Desktop. And there are a couple other alternatives. I think some people are talking about something called Fork in our Discord, in Stride's Discord. So look around, find the one you like. I personally like Sourcetree. I use it for work. I use it for personal life. It's worked very well for me. So I'm going to download that. I agree to whatever, which might be a problem as someone who likes open source software. Um, it's all on violation. Let that install. It should open up pretty quickly. We're not using Bitbucket in this case. I'm using GitHub. I do not need Mercurial. And it should find your GitHub account automatically. If it doesn't, that's fine. We'll set this up manually anyway, and we do not need an SSH key. Oh, yeah. So I had some settings already here before, so it had Stride by default. In the tools here, we're just going to make sure our account is there. So if we go to authentication, we should see, hopefully, your account here. If not, we can delete this guy, and we can add a new one. So under these settings here, you're going to change this from Bitbucket to GitHub, and you're going to make sure this is OAuth. You're going to press refresh OAuth token, and this should authenticate in your browser automatically. It might ask you to sign in, but it's unlikely. And that should be it. We now have ourselves authenticated with Sourcetree. We can go ahead and open a new tab. And I did this earlier and I messed up. Delete that repository. We'll create a remote, or we'll go to the remote tab. We'll uncheck show organization repos because we are not an organization. And we will go down to our repository that does not exist, sorry. So we're going to go to GitHub first. We're going to go to our account. Pretty much anywhere you should be able to create a GitHub repository. If you don't know how, just look for the green new button. It pretty much shows up on every other page except for, I think, the like the repositories of other people. So we're going to press new here. We're going to create a repository name. We're just going to call it test for video. We're going to do whatever we want here. It doesn't matter. Public, private, it's the same for you. The only difference is if other people can see it or not. The settings should be all the same. You can add a default README file or create one yourself. Doesn't matter. In our case, because we're using Stride, a Stride project is just a solution file. So it's pure .NET. If you've used C# in anything not involving games, it's the exact same template for anything .NET related. So we're just going to look for Visual Studio. We're going to click on that one, and we're going to create the repository. You can add a license if you want, but I don't care about this project. I'm going to be deleting this after this video. And there we go. So now we have a repository in GitHub for our testing purposes. We're going to go back to here. We're going to go to remote again, make sure everything refreshes. Oh, there we go. Press the refresh button up there. Load more. I'm going to go find test for video. We're going to click the clone button. We're going to copy this name just to make my life easier. Go to Browse, and we're going to go to wherever you store your Git repositories. In my case, I'm just going to use my temp folder because it's just easy. I'm going to create a folder for test video. And then that should be it. So we'll clone that, pull that down, and we now have a repository. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pretend we have an existing project, but we just didn't have it source controlled before. So all we want to do is go into wherever our project is. I'm going to go here. I'm going to grab a random garbage project that I have. I'll do, sure, copy this guy. I'm going to Control C. And then we can actually go here and do Explore, and it should open up our folder automatically. So we're going to paste our files into here, and that should move all of our, I don't know how big that project was. It's actually larger than I thought. We're going to move all of our project files into this folder, and then we'll push it to our repository so that it's backed up. Do not replace for me. You can replace. I think it just wants to replace either the Git file or the Git ignore. I don't care myself, so I'm just going to skip it. It should still work fine. And there we go. So now we can go here. We can see all of our files are here now. I really did not realize how big this project was, but whatever. I'm going to stage all of that. It might give me a prompt asking for git LFS. You don't have to. I'm going to name this test. Or actually, sorry, you know what I'll do? I'll name it initial commit. Usually what I would do is I would name this, or I would create a branch and merge it in separately. But because this is the first commit, I don't personally care. I'm just going to merge it directly into main for the first time. And this pops up. So if this pops up, we'll try pressing personal access token. We'll see what that does. And it might give me a prompt, or it might just work. If it gives you a prompt, okay, sweet. If it gives you a prompt, all you have to do in GitHub is go to, I keep opening the wrong Chrome tab here. Go into your profile and then go to developer settings and create a personal access token. And that'll let you log in using that as a password, basically. If OAuth works, it shouldn't bother you with that. So ideally you don't have to do that, but if you do, then that's where you go. So if we refresh the page, we see all of our files are now here, which is great. So what do we want to do now? We can go ahead and create our first PR. So let's go to Sourcetree again. We will actually go to our Git repository folder, and I'm going to delete all of these files that we added. I'm going to go back to Sourcetree. I'm going to go to file status, and we're going to stage everything, and we're going to name this deleted without thinking. And what we will do first, we'll make a branch, new branch, silliness, create branch. There we go. So now this won't go straight to our main repository. Very important to do this if you're actually using Git properly, because this will save you a lot of headaches, but it's not irreversible. So I'll show you that as well. So in this branch, we're going to push immediately to an empty branch. So this will create a new branch called silliness in our repository, and we'll commit that. Again, it's asking for this. We'll just click on personal access token again. It's fine. There we go. And we will go to here, and we can see that immediately GitHub realizes that we have something that we can use as a pull request. If this doesn't show up, we'll just have to go to pull requests. We'll go to new pull request, and we will merge from our branch silliness into our main branch. And we'll just create that pull request. Create that pull request. And there we go. In a proper situation with a team, you would have someone approve this PR before actually merging it into the repository. Because this is just us in the repository, we don't care. We're just going to merge and confirm the merge. And there we go. So now that I've deleted everything in my repository, we can get it back very easily by just going back to pull requests, going to closed, and going to the PR that we don't want anymore, and we'll just press the revert button. And this should bring all of our files back as if nothing happened. Merge pull request, confirm merge, go back to our code base, and we have all our files back. And that is the gist of using GitHub with Stride. There's no special funniness with Stride. You don't even have to worry about Stride in this case. Once you do this, it's just all here and you have it backed up and you can work with other people in collaboration at your leisure. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, then please let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to try and answer them.